because the relative is a responsible person and they'll make sure the child complies with conditions and does everything they need to do for restitution.
Judge, a lot of folks don't know what the difference is between juvenile court and adult court. Can you explain? Because I know that juveniles are treated differently than adults. Can you go ahead and explain?
Okay, well, to be a juvenile, you have to be from the age of 10 up to your 17th birthday. So 16 and whatever months. So the first thing is the age. The second thing is in the juvenile system, under the law, the judge's primary purpose is to seek rehabilitation, to try to assist the child to reform him or her so that they do not reoffend, so they become a productive citizen of society. In adult court, it's geared more towards punishment. And so it's kind of a different mindset. In juvenile court also, the judge is restricted. And I know Mr. Chesney doesn't practice criminal law and he doesn't really practice juvenile law, so he doesn't understand that there's a level. So if a child offends, the judge has to assign the child a level offense. And then after that, that level tells the judge basically what the sentence should be. If the judge wants to impose a harsher sentence, the judge has to give a factual basis, a reason why. If he departs, if he wants to be harder on the child. If he does that, then the child has a right to appeal, review, and it's an immediate appeal, to a higher court to evaluate if there are sufficient reasons to do that. And so it's very difficult, and the legislators in Austin has told us there's step 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the steps you have to go through. You just don't send a child to boot camp. You just don't send a child to what we call the children's prison, TYC. You try to work with this child.
That's right. We want to give them as many chances as we possibly can because they are juveniles.
Right.
They may have be coming from backgrounds where they really need some support. They need more parental guidance, and some don't have those.
That's right.
So we can't just be harsh and throw them all in jail, lock the key, and throw the key away. We can't do that. So, and I really appreciate you for all the work you've been doing with the juveniles, trying to give them that extra chance. Can you tell us what you've been doing to help them?
We try to. There has been a real shortage of mental health treatment for a lot of the juveniles. A lot of them are on medication. For one reason or another, they're not receiving their medication or not taking their medication. So we try to take care of the medical needs of the child. The second is we assist them by trying to find a mentor for the child and also trying to find appropriate counseling. The other item we try to do is try to place the child, if the home environment is not appropriate, try to place the child with a relative who can provide the proper guidance for the child. Because when you get 4,000 children a year being referred to the court, it's impossible for the state to care for all 4,000. Right? So you try to use family resources and community resources to help the child.
You're right, they need a second chance. A lot of them need direction. And a mentor sounds like a good idea to have.
Do something with a program to help them out, because I think it's just such a sad thing to you tell me 4,000 children in a year. And that means they have a parent, one parent, or some of them have two parents. Yeah. Maybe they have grandparents. Yeah. That's a big community for Nueces County.
I think you're going to find that most of them have a single parent or the grandparent. Grandparents are really raising their children. Most of the time they come to the system, about a quarter, 1 out of every 4 of the grandparents. We're now at the great-grandparents are raising the children now.
And most of those grandparents you would think that they would have been retired and not having to raise a second family or a third family.
Right.
So maybe that's a good program that we can look into, trying to help the juvenile.
Judge, there's also a gang issue
right.
In Corpus. Could you tell us what's the statistics on that, and what is the percentage of that coming to your court?
Most of the cases I see now, we have relatively low gang involvement. We're getting more burglary of homes, more burglary of vehicles. The graffiti has kind of died away. We're getting more burglary of vehicles now. And we've been very fortunate that we have not had a lot of children, juveniles with guns. We probably had about 3 in the last year. So we've been lucky in that regard. But the credit belongs, actually, to the federal government, the local ATF and FBI, who last year did a sweep and picked up probably about 140 adults.
Oh, wow.
That are involved in gang activity and were the main suppliers of the drugs and the guns. Wow. So when we removed that element, that helped out the juvenile system tremendously because they were the ones that were selling the guns to the
effect.
Yes.
Right. So Judge, what do you think causes gangs? What causes it?
I believe it's several things, factors. One of them is poverty. The second is the child feels isolated, doesn't have a mentor or father figure, someone caring for them, so they drift. And the third thing I think is bad urban planning. I think that when we allow urban sprawl, you create economic segregation. So you have places in your community that are extremely poor and they don't receive the resources. And because of that, they look at it as a hopeless situation. And then they start looking more towards a criminal activity. And it's very difficult. But when you look, all the researchers show that urban planning has a direct result on juvenile crime. In fact, that's how the first juvenile court was created, actually, in Chicago, 100 years ago. It was all about social issues and social planning of a city.
So our city council has a lot to do with how...
Sure, where you put your resources.
City planning.
Where how our gangs develop, let's put it that way.
It's where your sidewalks, where you put your sidewalk, where you put your infrastructure, where you put your library, where you put your new school. Are the children able to walk to school, or do they have to be bused? Is it a small school setting? Where's the local medical clinic where the people can go get dialysis? Is there a grocery store in the neighborhood? Or is most of the neighborhoods, do they have corner liquor stores, right? Those kind of things affect a child's life.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so when you have a mix of what we call, middle income, a few higher income, and some poor people, and you mix them within the community close, it actually helps everybody in the community and reduces the amount of crime. When you allow economic segregation, then this is what you do.
So a couple more questions before we wrap this up. And I know you have to go block walking and get people to vote for you, Judge. Yes, exactly.
And it's not raining. No excuses.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. But there was, for the folks that don't know what CASA is, because that is a volunteer group, and I know that they're definitely needed in your courtroom. Can you explain just exactly what CASA is?
Okay. CASA is a court-appointed special advocate. So it's an individual that volunteers, and they go through 30 hours of training, and they are assigned one case, and they take care of one, maybe 2 children to make sure that the child's safe, that the child's medical needs, dental needs, educational needs, emotional, psychological needs are met. And then they give a report to the court, and it allows for a better product and make sure that that child is safe. And it allows me to know out of 600 children, I have 120 represented by CASA. Those 120 have by far a better chance at a future because they have that element. And those individuals do it all on their own. They come to court, they go check on the child at the school, at the home, foster home, or whatever.
What is their age group? And what is the age group of these volunteers?
Have to be over 18. Most of them are going to be early 20s all the way up to senior citizens.
Okay. And Judge, that's a different level than juvenile court, right, because you have 2 different levels in your court, which is foster care and taking care of children who might get removed from their homes and into foster type care. And then you also have the juvenile section for those children who have criminal history. Is that correct?
That's right.
So can you give us a breakdown?
On my caseload?
Yes.
Out of a week of 40 hours in court, 35 hours will be for the abused child, because the caseload is tremendous. 4 to 5 hours will go to juvenile. It's just overwhelming.
Wow.
And with the downturn in the economy, we're seeing more and more children that are victims of abuse.
One more issue that I'd like to talk to you about is the court-appointed fees that I believe your opponent is making an issue about. Could you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Well, before Carl Lewis passed, they were paying $40 an hour for attorneys and $60 in court. Then they changed it to $60 out of court, $80 in court. So automatically it will go up between 30 to 50%. After they made the rule change, Carl Lewis passed away. So when I came in under the new attorney's fee schedule. Now, what we pay in County Court 5, we pay, say, $60 out of court. The other judges pay $90 out of court. The federal court pays $120. If you're hired by the city council, they pay between $250 to $450 an hour. Okay? So what the lawyers are being paid in Court 5 is generally 30–40% of what the market demands. It's the most serious cases, but they really are not making a lot of money. It's just an issue that he's trying to scare the voters on. So our attorney's fees have went up, and so he's trying to make it look like he's fiscally conservative, but he never wants to talk about his fiscal record.
What about him being in your court? How often is Brett Chesney in your court?
I checked the records, and he had not been in that court from 2002 to about 2009. So for the last 7 years he hadn't shown up. And then in 2009 I assigned him 3 cases, and he withdrew from all 3 cases.
I know that he was just caught texting in city council, which a lot of people say, hey, I'm just not into you, Corpus Christi. I love that. I just love that. Okay, time has run out on us. I want to thank everybody for joining us at La Cocina Politica. Judge, I want to thank you for coming, showing up again. Good luck on your race. And I want you to know that we're going to support you 100% for the Democratic County Court at Law number 5 position. I want you to know everybody at headquarters is excited. We're going to make sure that you win. So thanks again for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and you stay on the bench, Your Honor.
Yes, and thank you, Linda, for cooking. This was a wonderful meal, a wonderful presentation. I can't hardly wait to sink my teeth in it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.